Hello and welcome to Kain & Company. My name is David Kain. I'm the president of Kain Automotive, and I'm excited to have my daughter on the show with me today. And we're going to talk about a presentation she did at our recent Clients and Friends workshop in Lexington. It was all about accountability and holding management and your team accountable. So let's just get right to it. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dad.
It's always fun when I get to have you on because a lot of people feel as though we work together in the same office environment, and yet you live in Louisville and you work out of your home office, and I am traveling quite a bit, as are you. And what's interesting is we although we do the same type of training, we run into different issues in each of the stores we work at. And one of the things that you pointed out in your workshop that you had in Lexington at our event was accountability. If you could, let's talk about that and just express a little bit about your own firsthand experiences with dealerships that do it the right way, and of course the challenges with those who don't necessarily do it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. In my personal opinion, it really all comes down to management. I hear a lot of people talking today about salespeople, and not that they are completely innocent. They definitely need to step up their game, and they don't need to necessarily, just rely on everybody telling them what to do at every moment. However, management to me has become the biggest issue because people will do what they are, coached on and what the culture of their store reflects. And so if management doesn't buy in and evolve with the new things that are coming about, then of course the sales team's going to struggle. And in all honesty, it becomes a disservice to them, and we end up enabling each other. And therefore, our bottom line hurts because the customer pays for it in the long end.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting you say the customer pays for it, and they certainly do. But they have the option to go to other dealerships. So let's dial in a little bit into what you're finding with dealerships that don't have accountability, what risks they run by losing customers to dealerships that do have a good culture of accountability.
Absolutely. And I think that sometimes we spend so much time focusing on, the people who are right down the street from us, when in all actuality, what we've really are going to be struggling with, as we see over the past couple of years, is the CarMaxes, the Carvanas. And as those companies begin to grow and other companies start to grow under the surface, we forget that the reason why they are there is because there was a huge hole in our market where the customers wanted a certain experience and we weren't quite ready to provide that. And so last week I was actually in Canada, and I told them that at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is providing that experience. And if we don't offer it, they will be forced to go somewhere else. They won't wait for us. And we know that because we've seen it in other industries, whether it's cab companies and Uber, shopping online, going to the airport on a daily basis. Our goal is to talk to as few people as humanly possible because, the experience wasn't great. So therefore we use kiosk more than anything. And I don't personally want that to happen. I know that I love working one-on-one with individuals, but my expectations are so high because my life is so busy, just like our customers, that if I am going to make a humongous purchase like that, then I expect to not just be wowed, but just to be treated, at a certain standard and to move quickly because I don't have a lot of time to offer.
So when you look at dealerships who do have a good culture of accountability, you mentioned that it starts at the management level. What are some of the common things that you see in dealerships that are thriving when it comes to culture of accountability? What are they doing different than what you see at dealerships that are struggling?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing is they use the actual tools and technology that they pay for. And I know that sounds very basic, but one of the things that I get very frustrated about is that when I look at my clients and my dealers, end of the month expenses, I see how much the CRM cost, I see how much the actual lead source and the marketing cost. And we have a very low expectation of what we should be getting back in return. We just think that they magically, show up on our computer and call us on the phone. And in truth, in actuality, it actually costs a lot of money, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. And so on the management level, I really encourage them to get involved in those conversations, because if they don't really know how much those things cost and what they should be expecting in return, then it's really hard for them to hold their team accountable. So I ask for them to be a part of all of those marketing meetings, so that way they can see firsthand just how big of a vehicle they're driving and how important it is to the overall store's livelihood and success, that they be a part of those conversations that they normally maybe would avoid because they wouldn't think it was in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, so it sounds like in the healthy organizations, and I want to separate those that are healthy financially. A lot of stores are doing well financially, but there are cracks at the seams along preparation for what the future customer might be looking for or expecting. And that sounds as though what you're really focusing on is preparation to defend against the CarMaxes and the Carvanas and other stores that are coming in and rightfully causing dealerships to improve their processes. But some dealerships are still very defensive and say, hey, we sold 17 million cars last year. We had a record year last year. As an industry, why should we change? So as a millennial, and I know that's an overused term, or let's just say a seasoned car shopper, why would seasoned car shoppers like the experience and focus on that? And what do you recommend dealerships do at the management level to create this culture of a better customer experience?
Yeah, I think for me, it has very little to do at the end of the day with your customer and more what our individual goals are. And I know that sounds kind of weird to say that, but at the end of the day, we've become very comfortable with a mediocrity as an industry. And I don't mean that to be harsh. I mean it as it's just the truth. When I go to a workshop and people are blown away when I say that we should be closing out of 15% of all of our inbound internet leads, I don't think that's too much to ask, because my brain immediately goes to, well, what about the large amounts of people who we don't sell?
Yes.
They have to buy somewhere. They're obviously serious. That's what we see trend after trend. And yeah, we did make good money. And yes, we might have beat some records. But at the end of the day, we're so focused on just being okay with that we tend to forget that it's not always promised. And we need to be able to have a plan of what's going to happen when all of these different things come in and they shake our market. And if we don't have a game plan and we're not prepared and we're not striving to get better at all times, then it's going to actually, hurt us in the long run. And also just to kind of keep in mind that customers have said over and over again that they would be willing to pay more for an actual vehicle if they had the experience that they desired. So, I hear a lot of times, the internet customer is obsessed with price. The internet customer is obsessed with price. We're not making any money off of these customers. Well, the truth is, the customers would be perfectly fine paying more if we offered a better process and experience for that vehicle. They show it time and time again with other products that they buy in their life. All we can say is we're sitting here using Apple products right now. They've never had a sale. But at the end of the day, if we are going to have to make the cuts and our profit and making the money to survive and have a livelihood in this industry, if we aren't willing to improve the processes, because at the end of the day, the customer will pay more for something that they want, and they're going to pay less for something that isn't as ideal.
You bet. Well said, Jessica, and thank you so much. That's strong guidance for dealers who are starting to do their planning for 2018 and those who really want to make 2017 end with a real flurry. So thank you very much for joining me, and obviously I'll see you real soon. And thanks very much for you joining us today here on Kain & Company. Look forward to seeing you next week.